Have you ever been the victim of a scary moment in a video game, horror or otherwise? Well, so have I. So I compiled a list of the top 10 things that I can think of that scared me in games. This is not an exhaustive list, and there's plenty of things I'm sure I forgot. And if I didn't include your favorite scary moment in a game, just know that you're wrong, and I probably didn't play that game. But please feel free to leave a comment so we can be scared together. Without trailing this on, let's get to our first game moment. Number 10. So next up we have a game that just didn't really have a horror element to it, but this planet was a good example. So we have Jet Force Gemini. You have to save tribals, they're a teddy bear-like creature, and you have to kill enemies that are bugs. So this planet in particular, it has zombie bugs. So this is Toffret. I thought it was kind of funny actually in the background here, they don't even activate until the ship lands. This is Rare Replay, the remake. So, but the thing is, the bugs here are invincible. When you show up, you only have two guns. You have a machine gun and a pistol, and neither of them kill them. They only stun them. So they just do this little shuffle towards you, throw stuff at you, and it's just, you know they're zombies, but you don't know what to do with them yet. You don't know why they're here. So then as you progress through the level, you get the backstory of what happened here. And it kind of seems like the guy who caused the problems here shot a tree with magic and caused pollution. So I don't know what kind of Captain Planet hero tree he needs, but what you do is blow up everything, as it was the 90s. So you just blow up everything. So it turns out that the guy who had the problem also had the solution in the form of a triple rocket launcher. Unfortunately, we have to carry out the solution for him. And for a game that, by this point, you were in an alien spaceship shooting regular ants and saving what looks like teddy bears to me, this was seemingly out of left field with just throwing some zombies in there, but it definitely stood out. Number 9. So we have Half-Life Blue Shift, and this one might feel a little bit out of place because it's not necessarily a scary moment, but for me it was because when I got to this part, I tried to press E to open a door, which I was used to with Half-Life 2 and a bunch of other games where by that point pressing E would open doors. So then I decided, well, I can't get through there, so I'm going to no-clip through some walls and check out what's inside of the vents because I didn't really know where to go. So I wasn't sure if I could fit in the vents, it didn't seem like it, but I decided to check them out anyway. So I'm flying around through these vents, and even though this isn't a perfect representation since I went back to record this lately, because I didn't have the original recording. So I went through this vent, and I thought maybe you can climb up this one, so it seemed like it was too small. So I went up here, and then suddenly that base, which is there. And that face is actually one of the level designers, Rob Hieronymus, specifically from Gearbox Software, a lead level designer. So while this moment is not inherently scary, it was to me just because when I originally flew through it, it flew through quickly and I didn't really capture exactly what I had seen. So all of a sudden there's just this thing that was in the vent that I couldn't even fit inside of. So it's like, why was there even something there? So that happened to be his face, and that startled me quite a lot. So that moment just really stuck with me, and it took a really long time to find exactly where that was. Number 8. Subnautica is one of those games that just had such a cool concept. The problem is, I hate the ocean. I hate the things in the ocean. I hate the emptiness of the void. I don't even eat fish, and I tell my friends they're ugly and they taste bad and they deserve to live for it. Because if I have to suffer in a world surrounded by so much ocean, so do they. The ecological dead zone is also where the ghost leviathans are, which I find them intimidating but not quite scary. I find it more eerie that there's an emptiness in this entire area with no bottom, and even if you surface, there's nothing to see. It's just more ocean. And I find that feeling just very dreary. So I'm not exactly sure what scares me so much about the vast emptiness of the area, but especially at night with no bottom, you can see that there's nowhere to go on the surface. It's just a completely hopeless feeling to seek out anything. There's nothing there. So that feeling of complete isolation and helplessness is probably part of it. So this is not a game I want to try in VR. That's for sure. Number 7. So we have a not so inherently scary game again. We have Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. So the Re-Deads, specifically how they scream and how they make you freeze, and then they, like, to me it seemed like they were just chewing on your head. And anytime I saw one of these enemies, they became priority number 1 to take out. So whatever needed to happen to stop them, I was going to get that to happen because I absolutely hated them chomping on my head. And these guys were worse than the original Re-Deads in Ocarina of Time. I don't know if it's just because I was slightly younger at the time and maybe the graphics doesn't help a bit, but I didn't really know what I was looking at with them. They were just a brown enemy. I didn't understand they were supposed to be more like a corpse, but these ones absolutely knew what they were supposed to be. They were a zombie mummy-like thing. And even the Gibdo in Majora's Mask, that one is so I kind of understood that, yeah, there's something we could do for them because they had a green circle on them when Tattle highlighted them. So I kind of figured that there was something we could do with it besides fight it. But yeah, these ones in Wind Waker, horrible. Number 6. Resident Evil Outbreak File 2. So in the Resident Evil Outbreak series, you have scenarios where the characters have to go through a scene to escape Raccoon City before it gets bombed. Each one of these is a self-contained scenario, so it has nothing to do with the other ones. In the game, the T-virus has already infected all of them, and you have an infection rate. Once it gets to 100%, you turn into a zombie and you lose. So they have items that slow it down, but it doesn't stop it. So specifically, I want to focus on the end of the road scenario. So your group stumbles into an Umbrella research lab, and in that lab, they let out a tyrant. So you know the deal now with Resident Evil games. They think they can control the monster.
I told you, there is nothing to...
It kills them, now it's your problem. Except the problem is now he mutates into something that resembles a volcano-backed Edward Scissorhands that's a linebacker for your favorite football team. I didn't pick a team because I don't really watch football. Fill it in. So the problem is, with this game, resources are not only extremely scarce, but the focus is to get through this as fast as possible because of that virus timer. So the problem is, by the time he transforms, they add another timer for when the bombs are coming. The other problem is that after he transforms, his walking speed is faster than your jogging, so he catches up to you quicker than a cameraman following an Olympic sprinter in that one Powerade commercial. So the thing that scared me the most was not its design, nothing about any of that, but actually just the fact that he has a one-hit kill attack. In this game, you can get downed if you take too much damage, and a teammate can pick you up. So that feature was pretty new at the time. I know it's more common now. In this case, you had computer character teammates, unless you had the Ethernet adapter for the fat PS2. Since then, I got a slim PS2, and I see that there's an Ethernet port in the back, so I never really got into having the Ethernet adapter when I was growing up, so I just had to play with just the computer teammates. And the enemy's super hard to maneuver with tank controls. They could just kill you with a one-shot move. So I got right to the end, I was on the footbridge, and he sliced me in half. And I remember from that moment, I put the game down for like a month, since that scenario was so difficult to beat. I know you can stun him if you hurt him too much, but I've always just tried to run for the exit because that felt like a way better solution instead of trying to waste the resources that I barely had anyway. But either way, that for me was just a scary moment of, he has this one-shot move, and he's going to make me have to try this over again when it already took so long to get here. Plus the infection rate for me at that time was like 80-something. So there's just so many different things coming together at once. Number 5. Animal Crossing for GameCube was easily one of the first games that I sunk hundreds of hours into. I got extra memory cards just to be able to get new towns, to be able to try out the fruits. I like doing the secret codes for items to collect the NES games. So one day the game got reset. I don't remember if it was pressed accidentally, power outage, whatever. But what I do remember is that when I booted the game back up, Rossetti was waiting for me as usual, but this time was different. He threatened to reset my game. So I had several quick thoughts. First, all of that time I just spent doing everything was going to disappear. I couldn't let that happen. Second, was he really going to reset it? It just seemed like a really cruel response to what happened. So third, I figured, how can I stop this from happening? So I quickly reset the game on him first. So if he was going to reset my game, he was going to have to earn it. I rebooted the game, came back to the same conversation. It felt like I was stuck. My progress is just gone. Hundreds of hours being wiped out. Just stuck looking at this screen. The same tone playing over and over again. So then eventually I mustered up the courage to just press the button to continue the conversation. And it turned out that it was just him pranking you. And I'm very glad for that. However, at the time, losing all of that progress, days and days and months of progress, I was not about to redo that. And I am very glad that it was just a prank, but that is not something I want to have to go through again. Number 4. So, Resident Evil. You have to enter this cabin, and at the very end of this cabin, there's 3 things. First, there's a typewriter. Then, there's an item box. And third, there's the crank. And the crank is the item that you need to continue the game. Now, there's a typewriter, and there's also a box. So that means this is a safe room. But after you pick up the crank head and head back, something enters the cabin. So your thoughts might be, okay, it's one of the NPC teammates that you came in with. Whether it's Barry or Wesker or Chris or another one from Alpha Team. But it turns out that it's not. It's an enemy. It's a monster. And that monster happens to be Lisa Trevor. And I hate Lisa Trevor's design, which is horrible, which is fantastic because that's what they're going for. But the other part of it is that she's unkillable. You can't just stop her. You can temporarily disable her by putting enough bullets into her, but that's it. She will always get back up. And just putting you in this tight space that should actually be safe for him, it's just well done, but I hated it. Number 3. Silent Hill games are, of course, a game built on trying to scare you, but it's also still a survival horror game. The thing that scared me the most out of all these different sections was on the 3rd floor storeroom of the Brookhaven Hospital. This room was just a perfect representation of filling you with unease, dread, and it was unsettling. The usage of the mirror in the background shows that something's happening to the player, while things on your side of the room shows things are happening to the room. Juxtaposition between the two just makes it extremely effective on being scary, and, like I said, just unsettling. It made me want to see what happened if you waited, but the sound design really makes you want to leave the room as soon as possible. After long enough, the mirror Heather will eventually stop moving entirely, only adding to the confusion of the situation. If you stay too long in the room, Heather will die, but after this build-up, what did you expect? You can leave the room, but if you try to leave too early, the door is actually locked. So once the reflection Heather stops moving, that's when the door actually unlocks, which only adds way more to the anxiety of this room, because you hear the sounds, you try to leave, and then you're locked in there, and you don't know exactly what the condition is to leave. A lot of games sometimes have a condition where you have to press the button to try to open the door like 10, 15 times, and then it finally opens. This one, it's a timed event with the other side of the mirror being the representation of time. And it was just very unsettling, as you can see. Number 2. We have Dead Space 2. So, I absolutely hated watching my brother play this part because, well, I never really played much Dead Space. I watched him play it. So, in the second game, I don't know exactly what the context of this part was, but I could not get away from the screen fast enough. I absolutely hate anything going anywhere near my eyes. I can't even watch somebody else touch their own eye without feeling uneasy, and this has something going inside of one. Let alone what happens if you fail this section. This is the worst. So whoever came up with this sequence, I want to never know what inspired you to come up with this, and I hope to stay far, far away from you. And I still don't understand why in this section the needle has to just jam itself into your eye along with half the machine because you happen to miss, because why doesn't it do that when you succeed then? Very odd. Yeah, let's not. No thanks. Runner-ups. Before we get to number 1, I just wanted to have some runner-ups that didn't quite make it because they were either too similar or weren't quite as good as the other one. So first up we have Silent Hill 4, where we have Eileen's huge head here. So in the entire game, we spent looking into her room, her apartment, so this feels like a way for them to get back at us for being a creep the entire time. So up next we actually have 2 non-horror games as well. So these were related with the same concept, so I'm putting them together here. First we have Mario 64, we have the eel in Jolly Roger's Bay. I was just always unsettled by this, probably along with the ocean stuff, with just being underwater and just being creepy, and you had to get the star at the end of the tail. And then plus, on the first one, you had to actually get close to it so that way it would leave the pirate ship, and you had to make sure you didn't run out of oxygen. And that ties us into the next one, where we have Majora's Mask, where there we had the section where you had to collect the Zora eggs, specifically in the eel section. I don't know why they designed it to look like this, but it was very similar to Mario 64. Underwater with eel things that are just really creepy. Did not like it. Absolutely hated it. And number 1. So in Resident Evil 4, you have It or U3. So this boss in Resident Evil 4 just always scared me for some reason. It's like this grasshopper-like design with a grotesque skin scratched over it, and it just didn't sit right with me. Tie that in with it being invincible for the first part of the fight inside of an enclosed cage, so you have to run around dodging it or stunning it, so that way you could shoot the switches on the walls or pressing the buttons, so that way the door opens to the next cage. After you press the button, a timer starts and you have to get to the next section, otherwise you'll instantly die. I never liked the instant death sequences, as nothing was more horrifying than having to replay sections. I also tackled fighting this guy in VR. The entire playlist is on the gaming channel. I'll put a link to the playlist in the description. I hated every part of this fight. He just kept popping up in front of you or around the corner, and it's much easier in VR because you can dual wield. You can have like the Magnum in one hand and the pistol in the other to shoot the buttons, and you also don't have to stop moving in order to shoot, unlike the original game.
Alright,
So then on the third section, he just has the sprouts blades out of his back of his neck or his spine or something. I don't know exactly where, but it just had to get worse. So then of course you still have to finish the last section, and then when you jump to the crane, he still has to climb out of the hole to get you. And I was very glad to have all of this ammo for the Magnum for the final encounter because I was just able to stun lock him really easily. But yeah, this guy really got to me when I play Resident Evil 4 for all the different times. I played through it actually a few times on the GameCube, and then I bought the Wii version because I liked how they added the Ashley night costume so that way you don't have to worry about accidentally hitting her. I always dreaded coming to this part unless I had the unlimited ammo Chicago typewriter because that just made it way easier to be able to stun him and also shoot the buttons without having to worry about aiming too hard. You could just spray a little bit. So there, as you can see that not every single one of these is actually from a horror game or even a jump scare. So there's a lot of different ways that things can scare you, and a lot of things can come from your own mind, or even just the fact of losing progress or data. I want to keep that in mind with making games, and I wanted to explore just what things had scared me over time. And of course, like I said, not an exhaustive list, so I'm sure there's plenty more things. If you like this video, leave a like and a comment down below so I can know that you like these kind of videos. I'm gonna go back to some game dev stuff after this, but just wanted to throw out some game related content out there. Thanks for watching.